Okay, so the first answer is 3. So the reason why they are 3 is because because first one is not continuous at A. Do you see that? It's open circle. So therefore it's 1, 2, and the last one. Last one's not continuous. Second one's not differentiable. A is not continuous. So there are 3. Is that okay? Can I move on? Okay, number 2. The slope of secant. Well, it's a brown line. But there are 3 tangent line is equate to the brown line or parallel to the brown line. So therefore you got 1, 2, 3. Now you got to learn how to draw the tangent line. You can estimate a tangent line. You don't know where exactly. I would say it's probably almost at 1, and almost at 3, and almost at 5. That they have same slope. Tony is before Chase. Number 3. 1 and 2 is 1 and 2 is not here because absolute value and x equal to 0 because they are not qualified for mean value theorem because one's not differentiable, one's not continuous. Number 4, I will draw it. Once I draw it, I figure out E is the wrong answer. Or E is not satisfied. Well, it's not satisfied, but it's not continuous at -1, 1. So we are finding a reason why they are not satisfied. So it has to be not continuous at -1 to 1 if you draw it correctly. And that's my drawing. Any questions there? Kind of hard for that one, but you got to know how to draw piecewise function. Number 5, I got B as opposed to D. Why B, not D? Even though D is 2 and D is the correct answer.
Because 0 is
endpoints.
part of it, yeah.
So you cannot including the zeros. That's a tricky question. Trickery. Number 6, the work is a lot, but basically if you take a derivative correctly, you end up to be like this. Then you're going to get x equal to pi over 2, x equal to negative pi over 2. But however, the other side, sin of x equal to 1/4. Well, sin of x equal to 1/4, it has 2 solutions. Why? You can have, we don't know where the solution is, by the way, unless you use calculator. I would say probably less than 45 degrees. Probably less than 30 degrees. Probably something like 15 degrees or 16 degrees. Then on the other side, it's like 164 degrees. That's going to be another one. So there are 2 answers for that 1/4. So there are total 4. Now you have to understand a little bit of pre-calculus for that. So number 6, D. Number 7, I got square root 3 rather than negative square root 3 because negative square root 3 is not in the intervals. Number 8, I got 3 solutions. These are the 3. Number 8, I got pi over pi, 3 pi over 2, and pi over 2. Because 0 and 2 pi is on the intervals. Number 9, I got square root 2 rather than negative square root 2. So let me know if you have any questions. Oh, Madeline's not here too. Madeline, Simon, Case, Tony. Tony's here. Any questions before I move on? 8. A is this. So I solve when they equal to 0. So 2x equal to 0. So 2x equal to 0 happen at 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi. If I divide it by 2, then it's going to be 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. But the answer is going to be without a endpoint, so it's going to be pi over 2, pi, and 3 pi over 2. Uh-huh.
So is the
You gotta go back to the homework, otherwise you're gonna be completely lost.
no, I'm gonna do it. It was just so
And you need to drink some emergency every day. So you don't get sick. How you get sick? Your parents are doctor.
I don't know. Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. And you're like built too. You're not like me, all fat and old. I don't even get sick as often as you.
It's the weather. It's gotta be allergies or something.
What happened when you become fat and old?
I'll pass away. No more rock. He's gone.
Okay, so that's what I got. I take a derivative of cosine 2x, so that's going to be negative sine 2x times 2. And I set equal to 0. Now, 2x can equal to 0, 2x can equal to pi, 2x can equal to 3 pi. If I solve individual one, I'm going to get 3 answers. Or I can use double angle identity. 2 sine of x, cosine of x equals 0, sine of x equals 0, cosine of x equals 0. You got 3 different answers. That's me. Now, the second worksheet gets kind of tricky. Now, I only did some of them. I didn't do all of them. I like this one. This has a chain rule. Has multiple critical point. You're not supposed to plug in every single point. I see some of you guys, men, plug in every single point there is. Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
You plug in from -2 to 3 every
I
single
didn't plug
point.
in 3.
But you're supposed to plug in 3. Oh no, on the first one. Well, this one you're supposed to plug in every point because 2 points critical numbers. But the other one, I don't think you're supposed to be every point. Now this one's hard. I put on BC exam. This particular one. One of the better question that you actually had to do quotient rule. And you had to find a critical number. You had to exclude 7 because 7's not within the intervals. And then you had to plug in, solve for it. And you end up getting 1/2. No, that's the last one. How many guys got 1/2? Good job, Vincent, Aiden. Nice, nice. Supposed to get 1/2. Ethan, did you finish this worksheet? If you didn't get 1/2, go back and try to get 1/2. There's another one that's hard. This is really difficult one. This is the hardest one in here. The mean value one. Did you get 2/3? Abidash got 2/3? Nice. You had to factor out the most negative powers. This one's kind of hard because this algebra skill is you had to be on the top notch. This one's you had to factor out x to the -2/3. You had to factor out x to the -1/3, and you had to factor out 1/3 to make sure your life easier. And then once you factor everything out, you got 2 minus 3x, x is equal to 3/2. 2/3, which is perfectly nice. Any questions? No, maybe? Yes. Vincent, you want to shout out to Maddie?
No, you got it.
You can call her down.
Can I say worse than that?
I hear nothing.
Really? Do it later.
Okay.
Dude, just tell me at a random point and I'll come on and say something really rude. I can say anything, right?
Well, we're live streaming. So you don't want to get yourself canceled?
Okay, well, not obviously not that fun.
You can like discover it, like hide your faces.
I don't need to hide my face to call it like a dumbass or something.
Dumbass, you're not gonna get canceled. Otherwise, I'll get canceled a long time ago.
You want me to do it now?
I'll tell you when.
Wait, I have no idea. You're going to be X to the 4 5.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about today's stuff. Ow.
Look at how much I'm freaking down. I expected this notebook to last me the entire year. I will have to get a new one.
All right.
It's just for calculus too.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna learn about how do we test increasing, decreasing of the function. Which is a number line test. We talk about number line test at very beginning of the year. And then we kind of just like, oh, we never use it again. But I told you that question was so important that you had to learn how to do number line tests back then. First thing you have to understand, if f prime of x is greater than 0, well, think about it. F prime of x is greater than 0. That means slope is positive. If slope is positive, f of x must be increasing. So that's what they're saying. For you to test for increasing, decreasing, all you gotta do is do the first derivative. And then you do a number line test. You check the signs. Are they positive or are they negative? So, questions. It's like if f prime of x is greater than 0 for all x in a and b, then f of x is increasing between a and b. Second one, if f prime of x is less than 0 for all x in a and b, then f of x is decreasing. I'm gonna do parentheses. I don't think it's bracket. If f of x is equal to 0, then all x between a and b, then f of x is a constant a and b. Am I going too fast? Can I move on or no? Yes? 2 seconds? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it to this function. F of x equal to x cubed minus 3 over 2 x squared. I need to take a derivative. I need to do a number line test. I need to test which region are positive, which region is negative. Okay, so first thing I need to do is what? Find the derivative. Second thing I need to do is what? Not yet. You have to find critical number. Because you have to know which interval to test. Okay? So, like, I think like one student told me in the past, like, when anything doubt in calculus, just take a derivative, set equal to 0. You're gonna get something. In this particular case, you're gonna get a critical number. So I'm gonna do is set a derivative. F prime of x is equal to 3x squared minus 3x. I set equal to 0. How many critical number are they?
Two.
What are those two?
0 and 1.
0 and 1. So I'm going to say 0 and 1. So I'm going to do a number line test here. So I'm going to just do it here again. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to do it. So here I'm going to do a number line test between 0 and 1. So 0 and 1. And I'm going to use 3x and x minus 1 to test. Why? Because that's my f prime of x. I'm going to test that by plugging a from negative infinity to 0, and from negative infinity to 0, I'm going to plug in a negative 1. It's going to give you a negative sign. And if I plug in negative 3 minus 1, it's going to be a negative sign. That's positive sign. Is that okay? Catherine, look at me. Okay. So I'm going to plug in into the x minus 1. Not, well, they both are derivative. The combination of both are derivative, right? 3x times x minus 1. So I can plug in a negative 2 in here. Negative 2 minus 1 is going to give you negative. So you have two negative signs that will result into positive. Is that okay?
How come you're using the derivative for the number line function, not the regular function?
Because that's a good question. We're using the derivative because we want to know functions increasing or decreasing.
Oh.
We're not looking at are they above x-axis on original function or below x-axis. That has no relevance.
Okay.
If I can find out what increasing, decreasing, I can know what a graph look like.
So when we're saying positive, it's not positive as in like above y, it's more that it's increasing.
I thought that was my phone. I'm like, why is it Vietnamese? I'm like, what?
Did anybody text me?
Yeah.
Really?
Somebody text you in Vietnamese. Okay. So now I'm going to plug in between 0 to 1. So let's say 0.5. I plug in, that's going to be positive. 0.5 minus 1 is going to be negative. So that's going to be negative. If I plug in 2, positive, positive, positive. So what I'm going to write down is here, it's write down increasing, decreasing, increasing. Why? Because this is f prime of x. There's a summary of f prime of x. And I can say, well, what else I can figure out is this. I can figure out what is this 0 is. What is 0? If you have a function increasing and decreasing. What do you think the 0 is? What? It is not horizontal asymptote, no. It is possible horizontal tangent there, yes. But what kind of thing is over there if you have increasing and decreasing?
Oh, it's a local.
The minimum or maximum?
It's gotta be a minimum.
It's a maximum minimum.
Maximum.
If you have increasing and decreasing.
Maximum.
So it'd be relative maximum. So what we just talked about, this is relative maximum, is called first derivative test. This part is called first derivative test. The first derivative test to help you, are they relative maximum, are they relative minimum, and where are they at? So in this case, it's a relative minimum. And we are going to go back and state that first derivative test is. But you think about it, if you have function going up and come back down, that has to be a maximum at that particular point. It has to go down and go up. It has to be a minimum. Okay, when you're doing okay. Am I going too fast? So min is not really here.
Here.
Physically, not mentally.
Trust. I'm on the boat.
What kind of boat?
You wouldn't get it. Yeah.
What?
You wouldn't get it.
Try. What kind of boat? We're live streaming now. We're gonna talk about this. Negative infinity to 0 and 1 to infinity is increasing intervals. And you can put a unit in between, and decreasing intervals between 0 to 1. With that being said, we're going to talk about what's first derivative test. Remember, on AP exam, they've really emphasized if you justify it with the first derivative test or second derivative test. We're going to talk about that. So relative max occur at x equal to 0, relative min occur at x equal to 1. Now, we're going to talk about first derivative test. The next subject we're going to talk about is this. First of all, there's a difference between the test for increasing and decreasing. Test for increasing and decreasing, you just do a number line test. You look at which interval is positive, you're going to state that's increasing. Which one's negative, you state decreasing. But for the first derivative test, it's some type of justification for relative max and relative min. Now, both first derivative test and second derivative test, it says exact same thing. No, actually, in different way. Say exact same thing, but different way. You're finding relative max and relative min, but using different mean to find those things. Because sometimes not everything's offered. So, here's the first derivative test for you. I want you to read it. I want you to understand them. I want you to know how to memorize it to justify something. Because on AP exam, you cannot say, look at number line test. That's my maximum. They don't give you nothing. No points. Nada. You have to write down this sentence. You don't have to write essay on AP exam. I remember one kid named Saul. Very smart. Very, very smart. Kind of remind me of Matthew. But he write me an essay. Where is this maximum? Because the function has, I don't know, increasing into this point, decreasing to this point, and it's going up and down. There was a maximum, and there's a reason why, and blah, blah, blah. He write me a whole essay. I'm like, no, Saul, I don't need you to write me an essay. I need you to write me a sentence. The sentence basically says, if f prime of x change from negative to positive, remember that number line test. If it changes negative to positive means it's decreasing to increasing. At C, what is C? C is some type of critical number that you have. We're going to name this time C. Then f of x has relative min at C comma f of C, which is, that's going to be a relative minimum. Why? Because changing f prime of x, changing from negative to positive, means changing from decreasing to increasing. If anything going decreasing and increasing, it has to be a relative min. And that's what first derivative test stated. Vice versa. If f prime of x change from positive to negative at C, then f of x has relative max at C comma f of C. They're kind of intuitive. They're not like something you have to memorize, take a long time to memorize. It's something just very intuitive. Positive, negative, you got a max. Negative, positive, you got a min. Simple as that. They also have third situation. They say if f prime of x is positive on both sides of c, or negative on both sides of c. So when they're decreasing, guess what? There's no minimum and no maximum. Or increasing, no maximum, no minimum. So kind of makes sense. Does that make sense? How much time I have? Let me get off here. Huh? We have a lot of time. Time to give a shout out. It is. Okay. Vincent, it's your turn. I don't know what you want to say to your bestie, Maddie. She's your nemesis. Nemesis.
I guess you could say that.
You gotta be in the
I crouched down.
Yeah, you gotta be.
Okay, there we go. Hi. You're an asshole.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who?
Maddie.
Maddie. Why? Why she's?
She sucks at math.
Oh wow. Maddie, are you gonna take that? You better do your homework because he's.
The one that's in here.
Oh, she's not gonna do the homework.
We just live stream that.
Millions of people will see.
Millions of people, like 3 views.
Like one of his invites for the phone.
Oh.
Watch it.
Madison is on here.
Yeah, this is the one episode where Rick decides to watch.
Madison's on here.
How do I spell your name?
Wait, he's here?
Shit.
What's up, YouTube?
Hi, Maddie. Which country are we in?
4 p.m. 4 p.m. Europe. She's watching back to this.
Say it.
Vince, are you so mean?
Jesus, she tells us
Oh yeah, she's here. She says, "What's up, YouTube?" Anyway.
Alright. So anyway. Maddie Flanders. Look at what you wrote on my see, it has to be linked.
Okay, so I want you to do a number line test on this particular one here, and I'll show you how to do it. I like the mess with third things.
He's not good. I won't tell you. He's to figure it out.
What?
I think it's you. Ethan, do you have good handwriting? Mine, like, okay. Mine sometimes goes between terrible and passing. Yeah, I'd say that's where I am. And sometimes nice. Let me see this. Here's this freedom. Getting is.
Oh, right.
That's fine. Yeah. You have to do shade.
Yeah, that was 2.
If I take a derivative,
Oh, I know.
did you guys get the derivative correctly? Did you find critical numbers? How many critical number are they?
Wait,
There are three.
yeah.
Nice. There are three. And this is my number line test. So I'm gonna do it again, just to show you. So how do I do it? Well, I'm put 4x on the top. In the bottom, do I need 3? It doesn't matter. 3 is there. It's just worry about what happened if I plug in the sign. Now, if it's a -3, it matter. Because a -3, I'll do it separately. But
Wait, how do you get 4x?
4x is 2 times
actually,
2x.
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't matter. You can put x because 4 doesn't really matter. So I'm gonna plug in number negative, negative, positive, positive. Why? Because if you plug in negative number into 4x, it's gonna get negative. If you plug in positive, it's gonna be positive. Now, if I plug in like something that's less than -2, let's say -3, -3 squared is gonna be 9. 9 minus 4 is 5. Cube root of 5 is positive. What happened in -2 to 0? That is going to give you a negative. Why? Because if you plug in -1, -1 squared is going to be 1. And the 1 minus 5 is going to be, 1 minus 4 is going to be -3. -3 to -1/3 is negative power, negative number. Same thing, anything less than 2. And this is going to be positive, negative, positive, negative. So that makes this a relative minimum, and this is a relative maximum, and this is relative minimum.
So Mr. Yu, to find absolute max and absolute mean, you'd have to use the regular function. You couldn't use it originally.
Yes and no. To find absolute maximum and minimum, usually they have to give you intervals. Second, you can actually use the derivative to find out increasing, decreasing. It helps you to find where's increasing, where's decreasing in order to help you find absolute max and min. But in order to find absolute min and max from very beginning, just have to do evaluation of endpoints and evaluate critical number, because you just compare which one's higher, which one's lower. You don't really care about it increasing or decreasing. I mean, you'll get better idea if you know that increasing, decreasing, but it doesn't.
It's not needed.
It's not needed because you just need to evaluate at those points, because you know that absolute max and min can only occur at critical number or endpoint. Therefore, just evaluate and see what happens.
Okay.
Now, remember, I cannot just say x equal to -2 is relative min, because the number line test. On AP exam, you had to state something. You had to state x equal to -2 is relative min because at prime x changing from negative to positive at x equal to -2. That's how you justify an answer. On AP exam, they want you to justify something. You had to state the first derivative test. Same thing as 0.
On the AP exam, are we able to put negative and positive as minus and plus, or do we have to write out?
What?
Because like on here you have from minus to plus, but are we able to put those, or do we have to write out negative and positive?
Good question. I don't think they care, but I would write down negative to positive, but or write other actual words. I don't think they think kids that doing that all the time. It doesn't mean that they will not give you points. But should you write out a word? Yeah. Questions? Does that make sense? Okay. So we're gonna do a couple interesting one. This is a very difficult one, which is f of x is equal to x to the fourth plus 1 over x squared. Now let's take a derivative. How did I take a derivative here? Huh?
Can you simplify it first?
That's probably better.
X squared plus 1 over x squared.
Which is equal to x squared plus x to the negative 2. If I derive it, is equal to 2x minus 2 negative 3, right? Now the problem of 2x minus 2 over x to the 3, the problem you cannot find critical number is because you need an x to the third on the other side. Right? So it'd be 2x to the 2x over 1 times x to the third over x to the third minus 2 over x to the third. You need it like this. And then you can change that 2 outside to get me x to the 4 minus 1. Is that okay? Can I factor more? Can I factor more? What? My back hurts.
There he goes. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Isn't that x squared plus 1 x squared minus 1?
Yeah. How many critical point are they? There are 3. This one's gonna go offer you 2. That sounds gross.
What? You're saying you sound gross, yeah. My back still feels bad.
So there are 3 critical values, right? So be careful of those critical value though. There's a 0, there's a negative 1, this is a 1, right? Is that okay?
Yeah.
And do I need to test this? Yes or no?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Wait, what? Always be positive.
It's actually no. It's always positive. So I don't need to test it. I don't need to test it 2. I only need to test the x squared minus 1 and x cubed. This is a negative, negative, positive, positive because x cubed is going to go by the sign. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
X squared minus 1, that's going to give you a positive, negative, negative, positive. Why? Because anything less than 1 square is not going to be enough. Oh, wait, negative 1. So this negative, positive, negative, positive. So it's going to have Ooh, asymptote at 0. Good job. Asymptote at 0. So 0 is not max because there is an asymptote at 0. But -1 is a min. So this is a relative min. And this is a relative max. Does that sound very annoying?
Yeah. Wait, wouldn't that also be a minimum?
Yep.
Okay, you said that.
But the 0 is not max because 0 is asymptote. Now, sometimes you get this situation like this, right? So let's just say if you have situation like this, like x squared minus 1, and that you have a -2 on the top, and if you say this is f prime of x, and you want to do a number line test, you got to be careful because you got -1 and 1, but -2 is going to contribute all the sign there. It's going to change the whole interval. And for x squared minus 1, in this case, that's going to give you a positive, positive, negative. So this is positive, negative, negative. So sometimes you get this -2 that just can be everything negative if that's part of the things. So that'd be all for today. And the homework's already posted.